Now then, welcome back to the channel. So, beautiful day. Hope you're all keeping well. And what have we got for today? Well, I've had the new Honda Jazz Crosstar for a couple of days, just for a test and obviously do a review for you. A couple of months back, I reviewed the new Honda Jazz. Now, that was a cracking little hatchback with its eHev hybrid powertrain. It works really well, it's super efficient, it's just a generally good practical little hatchback car that offers great economy. But how does the Crosstar compare to just a normal Jazz? And with its little baby SUV type persona going on, is it a better choice than the Honda Jazz? And is it worth that extra £2,000 premium on top of the range EX Jazz? So that's what we're going to be having a look at today. If you want to check out the Jazz review, I'll pop out one of them little banners up here somewhere and you can check that out. So, without further ado, let's crack on. So, front end of the Jazz, it gets its own unique front grille. Still comes with the full LED headlights, automatic headlights, LED daytime running light, which obviously, along with the Jazz, it's taken styling cues from the Honda E and how simple it is. And I really like it. I don't know about you guys. Maybe leave a comment below, let us know what you think. But with its SUV-esque look that they're going for, you get plastic cladding all around the car. But as you can see, it stands taller than the standard Jazz. In fact, the ride height on the Crosstar is 30mm higher than a standard Jazz. Now, still on the same 16-inch wheels, alloy wheels. Would you take it off-road? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't be comfortable taking it off-road. I don't know, they're going for that sort of look and appealing to that sort of buyer that want to get into a small SUV, crossover type car. But I just don't get it. I don't see why paying £2,000 more for this sort of look when you could have that in the Jazz and the same kit and a little bit more and a bit more practicality. So down the side of the Crosstar Jazz is where you'll see a lot of the differences. You've got your plastic wheel arch cladding, the bottom of the doors and obviously the sills, and this is where you'll see that extra bit of ride height. It's actually 50mm longer too, so you'd think that little bit of extra length would give it more space inside. Whereas in the front and back seats, it's still really good and really practical, but it's actually lost some space in the boot, which we'll take a look at shortly. You get the full LED rear tail lights, part in the rear wing and then part in the boot lid. Obviously they're split. Again, at the back, textured bit of plastic, non-slip, and plastic textured rear bumper. Obviously just to tie in with the more SUV-esque cladding that you get around the car. Nice shark fin aerial, I really like that, it's a nice little touch. As for the Crosstar, it does come with roof rails, obviously just give it more of that SUV look. Obviously you can get a roof box on there, more storage and everything else. So let's have a look inside and see what differences there is on the Crosstar compared to the normal Jazz. So inside the boot with the new, bit disappointing I found. It is big enough to fit a pram in here, and obviously your weekly shopping, the load lip is relatively low, so you're not going to be hoiking things in and out. But the standard Jazz has a 304 litre capacity boot with the seats up and the parcel shelf. Obviously it's got the ride height, it's going for a more SUV-esque look and style. You'd think that it would be more practical than the normal hatchback. No, it has actually lost, and it is only a mere amount, 6 litres of boot capacity. Now it's only 298 litres in the Crosstar. In the Crosstar you do get a subwoofer, and this is why you've lost some space in the boot. Now it's just located just down here, but I have to say, for myself, obviously I like my music, my kids like the music. That is actually a nice addition, I actually like that, and it does add that extra bit to the sound quality that you get. So then, here we are in the back. Now, you'll have noticed on the Crosstar EX, and obviously the EX Jazz, it does come with rear privacy glass. It's not a dark tint, but it's obviously enough to obviously protect the little ones from the sun, and obviously just to help it aesthetically. Now you do get a lighter headliner, which obviously helps brighten things up in here, but it's really nice. I mean, I remember this from the previous Jazz, from the Jazz that we had on the other week, and it was so comfortable and a lot of space in the back. Now in the Crosstar you do get more space. I mean, this seat's in my driving position. I'm not massively tall, I think I'm about 5'10", but I've got plenty of knee room, and then headroom. It's even better than in the previous in the Jazz. The seats are quite high up, so you can actually tuck your feet under as well. So if you are a tall driver and you do have passengers in the rear, they can tuck their feet under. Nice sized pockets on the back of the seats, both seats. Decent sized door bins. You'll be able to fit a 500ml bottle in there. Headrests are nice in the back. But yeah, it's generally really nice, and you can actually see out really well. There's USB charging ports down here, so obviously you can charge your devices, things like that. On the outer seats exposed, there is Isofix points on both outer seats. Now that just makes it really easy to fit your child's car seat in here, and it's really good. As for the seats, they're actually really comfortable. I like the materials that they've used. Obviously the sponge, it's quite firm but not soft, but it's not too overly firm. It's actually really comfortable. I really like it. Now in the Crosstar you do get a water repellent material fabric on the seats, so obviously going for that more active lifestyle buyer, if you do go do a bit of surfing, go out with the dog or anything like that up into the woods, and you do get a bit wet and a bit muddy, you know that the seats aren't going to get ruined, and they are easily cleaned. You could easily fit 2 adults in the back here, and with 2 children's car seats there wouldn't be very much space in the middle. In the middle there is a low transmission tunnel, so obviously if you do have to sit in the middle, it might be a little bit cramped. I'm a bit wide for this chair. So then, up front in the Jazz, always bongs when you get in the driver's door. As with the 4th gen Jazz, keyless start. But yeah, it's really nice. I really like the steering wheel in the Jazz. It's just a 2-spoke, similar to what you get in the Honda E. The steering wheel controls do feel a little bit cluttered. I mean, on this side you've got your voice control, your little toggle scroller knob, back and home, obviously your functions for skipping and your volume, and then on the other side you've got for your cruise control, lane departure warning, you have anti-collision, things like that. It's a push button start, really like that. Now it is, since the review of the Jazz that I did, I have come to learn that it isn't a normal CVT transmission. It is an electronic CVT transmission. Now you do have obviously your park, reverse, neutral, drive, just like any CVT and automatic transmission. You also have the B option. Now the B is obviously regenerative braking. I always drive in that, when I was in the Jazz, and I have when I've been in this. Obviously, even just in traffic or just driving around, let off the accelerator, brake slightly, but it helps put power back into the battery pack. Just obviously helps increase your fuel efficiency. Now, really nice. It's not cheap, not wobbly. You've got some nice cloth on the side of the transmission tunnel here, so obviously even when you're driving, I've got shorts on today, you don't scratch your legs on the plastics. Plastics on the doors, a bit scratchy, a bit on top of the dash, but generally I really like the dash layout in the Jazz. I actually prefer it to the Yaris that we had a few weeks back. Obviously storage pockets up here and here, you've got a little top dashboard there, you've got a glove box down here which is really large, and you've got a nice lot of space. Physical climate controls, obviously air conditioning, heated front and rear windscreen and mirrors. The Crosstar comes with heated seats, which is really good. You get a 9-inch infotainment system, which is easy to use, and Honda actually listened with like the likes of the Civic and obviously for this 4th gen Jazz, and added in a physical volume control, physical buttons, a home button and a back button. Now the way it's laid out, it is relatively easy to use. Obviously after a day or so you'd get used to where everything is and get used to the controls. The sat nav that it comes with can be a little bit, I would say, clunky, but it's pretty easy, and you do get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and Bluetooth connectivity as standard with the Jazz Crosstar. Down here you've got a nice pocket for your phone. You've got USB charging port, Bluetooth port, and obviously your 12-volt socket. The door bins are on the small side, but you can fit a 500ml bottle of drink in there, and then obviously you've got these pockets up on the dash that you can put drinks in too. You do have a couple of cup holders down here. I'd only use the one though, because the other one is slightly overlapped by the armrest. But inside the armrest you've got carpet lined bottom, obviously to stop things rattling around and obviously sliding around so much, but it's a nice bit of space, which is really good. Also down here you've got your electronic parking brake. You also have the brake hold assist. Little button here switches it between obviously your driving modes, which is obviously normal, and then economy. Auto lights, auto wipers, which is obviously really handy. You're not going to forget, on the door down here you've got your front and rear electric window controls, electric mirrors, auto folding mirrors. Obviously even when you lock the car by the key, it folds the mirrors in, unlock it and it folds them out. The driver's display, digital driver's display, I do like that. It's nice and crisp. On either side of the little digital screen you have obviously your fuel gauge going at one side, and you have your battery charge level on the opposite side. The digital imagery on the screen is actually really good. It's nice and crisp. You can flick through it by the little scrolling wheel on the steering wheel here. You have a few various options that you can go through. So that's it really. I mean, I just wanted to say a massive thank you as well again to North Yorkshire 500 here at Pickering. I've been up, had a couple of brews, bit of a cake. Oh, that was a good cake. If you're after somewhere to go, somewhere that's a really good environment for car enthusiasts, bikes and things like that, I'd definitely recommend coming here. They're just down the road from Flamingo Land. But yeah, it's really nice up here, and it's really nice that they'll let me film this review here. So I'll flash their little Instagram up on the bottom. Go ahead and give them a check out and give them a follow. I'll be back here again for another Cars and Coffee meet soon as well. But yeah, let's take it out on the road and we'll head back to Scarbados, eh? So how does the Jazz Crosstar drive out on the road? I mean, I've come up to Pickering today to NY500. Obviously it's been a nice little drive out in the Jazz Crosstar. As for how it drives, obviously I've driven the 4th gen Jazz, and that drove really nicely. I was quite surprised with that, how it handled, how it held the road. Obviously road noise is a little bit high. You can hear it more obviously when it's running on the electric motors, obviously because there's zero noise whatsoever, which is still really strange and eerie with all the hybrids and electric cars that I've driven. But with it being 30mm higher than the standard Jazz, you do find it sways a little bit, and you find it a little bit wallowy, and it doesn't seem to corner as well. You get more body roll over bumps. With the 16-inch alloy wheels, it's not too bad. It does soak them up quite nice, and it is really comfortable. I mean, you can get a really good driving position. There's plenty of adjustment in the steering wheel, like height and reach, rake adjustment. It's easy to adjust the seats. The vast adjustability that you get, there's a comfortable driving position to suit everybody. But like most SUVs that you can drive, either a proper SUV or an SUV crossover, you do get that higher driving position, whereas you would have thought with the Jazz Crosstar maybe that with it being obviously higher and going for that sort of SUV crossover vehicle, it'll be a higher driving position, but it's not. It's exactly the same as the normal Jazz. It's obviously seen out of the windscreen, but you can't see over it's exactly the same looking out over the bonnet. Whereas with an SUV, you've got a bit of a higher seating position, and you've got a more commanding view of the road ahead. But as for the powertrain in the Jazz Crosstar, it's really good. I mean, the whole Jazz and Jazz Crosstar come with a 1.5 litre petrol engine, which is combined with 2 electric motors and obviously a battery pack. The battery pack is located under the boot floor. That's why you get a bit of a lip in the back of the boot and under the rear passenger seats. It actually works really well. Sometimes you don't even feel the switch between obviously the petrol motor kicking in and the electric motors. Obviously under the electric motors you do get a little bit of motor whine, but it's not very noticeable. It's really quite quiet. But it's super efficient. I mean, the WLTP tests figures that they've got for the Jazz Crosstar come in at like 58 plus miles to the gallon, and it performs well. Out accelerating up into a 60 mile an hour road and all that jazz, pardon the pun. It's actually really, really good. It picks up well. It'll do a 0 to 62 time in 9.9 seconds. So I mean, it's not as, the performance figures aren't as good as the Jazz, because obviously it weighs a little bit more and it's a little bit bigger. I can't see the big thing with it. I mean, £2,000 more from the EX Jazz, just for a higher ride height, a bit of plastic cladding and some waterproof seats. You could go down to Alfred's and pick up a set of waterproof seat covers for 30-40 quid, and that'd do you in your normal Jazz. I mean, this does retain obviously the magic rear seats, which are really, really good feature, and it's a big selling point for the Jazz, I reckon. But as an everyday little family car, just for tooting to and from school and get you to work and back, it's a brilliant little car, and it drives really nice. It's just, yeah. But from me, verdict wise, would I buy it over a normal Jazz? I don't think I would. I think I'd prefer the Jazz. I think it looks better, it drives better, even though they're exactly the same car underneath really, apart from this being a little bit taller. But I'll leave you with that one. I mean, let me know in the comments below, which one would you have, the Jazz or the Jazz Crosstar? So, again from me, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're all well, have a good weekend. I'll see you later. Bye.